short for a stormtrooper?
Although it is no longer canon, the expanded universe remains as one of the deepest, richest mythologies of all fantasy realms. And because of this, filmmakers still take ideas and sometimes entire characters to add them to the storyline. So here is a list of 10 Legends characters that should be brought back into canon. At number 1, first and foremost is Mara Jade. Mara Jade is a given. People have been vouching for the return of the Emperor's Hand since the EU disappeared. Some fans have even started online petitions to bring her back, and for good reason. We are all extremely fascinated with her history, which includes being raised as a servant to Palpatine, killing of countless rebels and Jedis, and of course, a very unique and special relationship with Luke Skywalker. This is a character that could tie everything together. So many storylines could culminate around her. Next up, Captain Paleon. Gilad Paleon was a human male officer who served for 7 decades, going all the way back to the Galactic Republic. During the Battle of Endor, his commanding ship the Chimera fell, but he remained one of the most prominent officers in the fleet, even garnering the respect of Admiral Thrawn, who made the Chimera his flagship and Captain Paleon his right-hand man. If Thrawn is returning, why shouldn't this character as well? For the next character, at number 3 is Dash Rendar. Dash is a familiar character for many of us, with his signature YT-2400 freighter and a personality to basically mirror Han Solo's. I remember him best as the main character from N64's Shadows of the Empire, and that's the time period right now that we're exploring, the original trilogy, with Rogue One, the Han Solo film, and Rebels. Bringing back Dash Rendar into the mix would be a very organic transition, especially because he's a bounty hunter and a smuggler, yet his history goes much deeper than that. Being born into a wealthy Carillion family, then becoming an officer in the Imperial Navy before finally being exiled from the Corps by the Emperor himself. Natasi Dalla. Now this is a name I have not heard in a long time, or ever I think until I began to make this video, and she ended up having a fascinating backstory. Dalla was actually the first woman in the Imperial Navy to reach the rank of Admiral. And how did she do this? By using an alias to hide her true identity, and then becoming an extremely skilled combat specialist in training, eventually becoming noticed by Grand Moff Tarkin. Now, not only did he personally take her under his wing, but they later became lovers, and after this, she attained the rank of Admiral. What an incredibly interesting backstory to add to the new storyline. There is so much you can do with this. At number 5 is Talon Karrde. I actually did a video on this character not too long ago because this person represents something we all need more of in Star Wars: smuggling and information broking. I mean, think about it. We always have the clean politics of the universe, but the extensive history of Talon provides us with the real, gritty, shady underworld where the real deals are made. Aside from this, his background also includes being a mentor to Mara Jade and being drawn into the Galactic Civil War in 9 ABY, when he actually rescued Luke Skywalker from Grand Admiral Thrawn. He was also later eventually an aide to the defeat of Thrawn, and a valued friend to the Solos and the Skywalkers, yet another character that could end up tying everything and everybody together. Next up is not a character, but an entire history and a timeline in and of itself, and that is the Old Republic. In my opinion, this entire portion of Star Wars history desperately needs to be recanonized, and mostly because there isn't any reason not to. Great characters like Bane and Grand Admiral Thrawn have already been reintroduced because they know that it's okay. Their history doesn't affect anything in canon. In fact, it adds immensely to the mythology, And realistically, most Star Wars fans still consider it to be a part of their personal canon because they can't let these rich, deep stories go. And why should they? Let's face this. Reopen Knights of the Old Republic, and let's create some new stories. Coming in at number 7, we have Xizor. Now, Xizor is an extremely famous character from the EU. Star Wars fans know him quite well, and he is indeed another name I remember from Shadows of the Empire. Xizor was a fallen prince and leader of the massive criminal organization, the Black Sun. If you can believe it, following the Battle of Hoth, Xizor was actually considered one of the most influential people in the galaxy, following names like Palpatine and Vader, and this was because of his immense wealth and underground influence. This is a perfect character to bring us back into the underworld of the galaxy, exploring what basically amounts to the mafia of the Star Wars universe, and he even has a headquarters on Coruscant. People have been asking for a Star Wars Netflix series for quite a while. Well, this would be a perfect main character. Next up is Corran Horn. Corran is a particularly interesting character because he was a Force sensitive whose father was a Jedi, yet completely unknown to him. In 6 ABY, he joined Rogue Squadron and became a flight leader, but just 5 years later, his wife was kidnapped. So, with the help of Luke Skywalker, his history was revealed and he decided to train as a Jedi to save her, which of course he did, and then later he became a leading member of Luke's new council. This would be a fascinating character with a rich history to add to the mythology of Luke's new Jedi Temple. At number 9 is a character that very few know about, but he actually connects to some major important aspects of the Star Wars universe, and that is Kip Duron. Another member of Luke's new Jedi Order, Duron was incarcerated in the spice mines of Kessel at a very early age by the Empire, and as such grew a very strong hatred for them. In 11 ABY, he went on an Imperial rampage that caused many deaths, including his own brother, because he was possessed by the spirit of Sith Lord Exar Kun. And yet, Kun's grip eventually let go, and he became one of the most powerful members of Luke's new Jedi Council. Once again, this would be an extremely fascinating character to add to the new mythology, with a particularly interesting history. And finally, to round out our list of amazing EU characters, we have the mighty Lowbacca. Now, this character is one of my personal favorites because he is very unique. I mean, think about it. How often do you hear us fans talking about Chewie's backstory? I mean, aside from the Christmas special maybe, but let's be serious here. We're too busy discussing Snoke and Rey and Kylo Ren, but what about Chewie? Does he have any connections? Well, it turns out, yes, he does. This character is actually the nephew of Chewie, who studied at Luke's new Jedi Praxium, and was also close friends with Jaina and Jacen Solo. Lowbacca also wielded a very unique bronze-bladed lightsaber, and as you can imagine, was an extremely powerful opponent. How cool would it be to see one of Chewie's relatives at Luke's new Jedi Temple? Now, this is the kind of storytelling that we need. Well, troops, that's going to do it for this list of 10 EU characters. But now I want to hear from all of you. What are some of your favorite characters from the expanded universe, and who do you want to see brought back into the current canon storylines? Leave all of your thoughts and opinions down below in the Great White Void. And as always, until next we meet, stay in a galaxy far, far away.